There are 8 reasons why your nervous system can make it difficult for you to run your business. And as a new female business owner, it's so important that you understand not only what these look like, but how you can start to look after your nervous system and tap in and trust your intuition a little bit more. So the first thing that I want to talk about is around pressure and expectation. When you put yourself under immediate pressure or set yourself really high expectations, it triggers your nervous system massively. And starting a new online business is one of the quickest ways to do this. Everyone loves to set goals, and the online space makes it seem like your goal has to be 10k months, 6-figure years, multiple 7 figures, and doing all of that with only working 2 hours a week and having all of this free time to do what you want. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a dream to aspire to. What I'm saying is that that can't be the very first thing you aspire to. We have to build in stages. So when we're starting out, our expectation should be, how do we make our first £100? How do we make our first £1,000? How do we make our first 2,000? How do we replace our income from a paid employment? How do we get to the point where we can start to bank 3 months in advance? Like small steps up this ladder, so that you're never throwing yourself into this expectation of, oh my gosh, I've been in business for 30 days and I haven't managed to hit 10k yet. You have to start small, and in order to do that, you have to come from a place of not putting pressure on yourself and your nervous system. Okay, so the second thing is this idea of uncertainty and risk in business. Now, uncertainty and risk is always going to trigger your nervous system. And with a new business comes uncertainty and risk. You don't have a detailed plan of, if you take these 3 steps, it'll definitely work. You don't have a backup of, regardless of how I do this month, somebody's just going to pay my salary. You have to be able to monitor and understand the change in markets, the change in the algorithm, because that loves to change all of the time. You have to be able to think about how you show up, how you manage information, how you understand and distill and think about what's important for you and not important for you. You have to be able to go through this process and understand that there's no guarantee of success at the other end. There's no guarantee that if you work all the hours in a day, you're definitely going to be successful. There's no guarantee that if you take all of the steps, you're definitely going to be successful. There's no guarantee that if you do A, B, and C in that particular order, you're going to be successful. I know people who have all gone through the exact same learning and they've all applied the exact same things, but they've had varying amounts of success dependent on how well that strategy aligns with them personally. So understanding that risk and uncertainty is always going to be a part of business, you have to ask yourself, how can you give yourself as much certainty as possible? How can you give yourself the ability of a little slush fund or keeping your job while you start your business? Like, it's so much easier to keep your nervous system calm while you start your business and rather just be a little bit busy for a time period rather than just throwing out the job and hoping for the best, because once your nervous system goes into overdrive, it's so much harder to take action. Okay, so number 3 is this idea of isolation and loneliness. Now, your nervous system and your whole being is all geared around you being part of a tribe, you being part of a community, part of people who understand you, and you being kept safe because you are part of. When you start your own business, that's a little bit more challenging, because especially if you've come from employment, you're coming from a whole bunch of people who are employed, moving into a space where you're self-employed and you don't necessarily have a new community yet. And that move can make you feel very isolated. It can make you feel like the people in your life now don't understand what you're doing, and you don't have anybody who does understand that new way of being. And especially if you are leaving your role and starting to work from home, and that's not something you have done before, it can be quite isolating, and you have to find ways to comfort your nervous system that actually you working from home or not having that huge community of people like you would have in an employed role doesn't mean that you're no longer part of something, that you're no longer in a tribe, that you're no longer safe. You have to be able to remind your nervous system that you're choosing a new tribe, that you still have your family tribes and your friend tribes. Like, just because you're moving out of your work tribe doesn't mean that you'll never have one again. It doesn't mean that you're not safe. But that's what your nervous system will feel. So you have to be able to tap in and say, it's going to be okay, I understand why this is happening, and this is how I'm going to counter this. Okay, so your fourth one is then the idea of continuous learning and continuous advancement. So being a business owner means you have to learn new things. You have to learn new systems, you have to learn new processes, you have to learn new ways of dealing with people, new ways of, delivering outcomes and results to clients, new ways of creating social media and advertising and Facebook and all of these different platforms that you need. Now, the big thing with any entrepreneur is it can feel really safe when you are just continuously learning, because then you can say, oh, I'm still learning, so it doesn't matter if I don't get it 100% right. But actually at some point you have to get to the point where you say, I'm done learning for now. I'm going to take everything I've learned and implement it and work in this space, and then I'll come back and I'll learn something new in the future. You can't just sit down and say, I'm just going to learn forever and never take action on what I learn. Because actually that's not how business works. So there will always be new systems, there will always be new processes, there will always be new things, new qualifications, new ways that you can approach work. But it's really important to always come back and ask yourself, are you just trying to learn new stuff because you're triggering your nervous system? Or are you learning because it is genuinely important to you delivering results for your clients? Because if you can do this from the point of view of it's genuinely important for my clients for me to know this thing or learn this thing, then you're absolutely doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it just because you want to tick a box or feel like you are more accomplished, or say that you've done it and it's not actually going to bring any value to your clients, what is the point? Literally, what's the point? Okay, so the next one on the list is work-life balance. Now, this is something that I am massively an advocate for, is that you have to have work-life balance. However, that doesn't mean balance in every single moment all of the time. Because when you first start a business, or when you're launching a new program or a new product or a new marketing campaign, it can be very time consuming and it can take over. But you have to have a balance and be ready for that understanding of the fact that businesses ebb and flow. Sometimes we have really busy times where we're launching new programs, where we're launching new offers, or going out and starting a new YouTube channel, or a new marketing campaign. You have to be able to take those times and look at them for what they are. A singular project that once it is done, balance will ensue and everything will be fine. If you run your business project by project, you can give yourself time in between projects to breathe, to rest, to recuperate, to give time back to life over work. But you do have to understand that at some points business is gritty. At some points being the owner means you have to take the action when you don't want to. You have to do the work that you're not wanting to. You have to work a bit late, start a bit early. It doesn't have to be every single day, but there are moments where it is really important. So you have to be willing to do that and actually say, if I'm going to get this done, I'm going to deliver this outcome. I'm going to put work over potential life commitments or, social commitments for this short-term period. And when you can look at it as a short-term period and then you've got a period for rest or social, it makes it much easier to digest that that's how it is running a business and that's what it takes. So the next one is this idea of comparison and imposter syndrome. So it's so easy to look at everybody and think everybody else is more successful than me, everybody else has got this figured out and understands and knows what they should be doing and how they should be doing it. And in reality, that's just not true. Every single business owner is pretty much winging it. Every single business owner is trying things, failing, trying something new, failing again, trying something new, failing again, until they find a way that works for them. And then they're going out and systemizing and, tweaking and making better. But it's not about just knowing exactly what that is and being like, okay, I've got this thing and I know what it is and I'm just going to do it. It's about being able to show up and say, I'm willing to try. I know that I'm good at a certain thing and I don't have to be good at everything else in order for that to be valid. So a perfect example of this is when you come away from working for an organization, you might be an expert in your business area. So I was an expert trainer and coach and strategist. When I came out and I started to run my own business, I suddenly had to be an expert in finance and an expert in sales and an expert in marketing and an expert in social media and an expert in IT and an expert in so many areas that were not my area of expertise. And the clear thing here is that I could let that comparison of, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at fill in the blank for yourself. For instance, I'm so bad at posting on social media, that must mean that I'm terrible at being a coach. Those two things are not connected. So don't take away from your expertise, don't take away from the thing that you're an expert in and can absolutely help people in, just because you don't know how to set up the email platform, or just because you don't know what to post on your social media at every moment of every day. You can't tie one outcome to another outcome, because when you were employed, you had departments to do all of these different things. You had people to manage all of these different things, and those people weren't you. So when you start running a business, there's going to be this massive gap that you have to fill, and it's so easy to get caught up in this comparison of like, oh, well, if I can't do that thing, I obviously can't help people. It's not how it works. You have got your expertise, you have got your skill that you're good at, you have got the thing that you have done and gone through and walked in your own life and that you can help people with. You have to be able to lean into that and say, this is the thing, this is the success, this is what I'm going to be able to do. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the financial pressure, because running a business is financially difficult. Simple as that. When you first start running a business, you have to go through the process of thinking about how much it's going to cost to actually run that business. What systems are you going to have to pay for? What subscriptions are you going to have to pay for? How are you going to make sure that you're delivering what you need to deliver for your clients? And then the second financial pressure is, how are you going to live life while you do that? So for instance, if your business costs, say, £500 a month to run, you need to earn more than that because you also need to pay yourself. So you might say the business costs 500 to run, I want to pay myself 1,000, which means I want to earn roughly about £2,000 so that I can cover my taxes, I can cover all of that and still have the money to pay myself and the money to run the business. Suddenly it's not just one amount, like I just need to make £1,000 to replace my salary. Suddenly it's, I need to make money to replace my salary, I need to make money to pay my taxes, I need to make money to run the business. And actually, a lot of people don't understand the finances behind a business, so the financial pressure catches up with them. They forget that they've bought something on an annual subscription and then suddenly it's due and they don't have the money to pay for it. They, haven't worked out what they actually need to survive personally and then tap that into the business to say, this is what I need to earn. A lot of people go, oh, well, I'll earn money and then I'll figure out how much I can pay myself. But actually, when you do it the other way around and you say, this is how much I want to pay myself, you have a target of what you need to earn, and that is way more beneficial in business than just shooting for the stars and hoping for the best. Now, financial prices don't have to be hard. You just have to know how to budget. You just have to sit down, drop your expenses from a personal basis, get a figure. How much do you need to survive every month? What is the bare minimum versus the top amount that you want to pay yourself? And then go back into the business and say, okay, bare minimum month means I need to make X amount plus how much it costs to run my business. Write down all of those costs. And then top scale, I want to earn X amount. Most new business owners earning between £2,000 and £5,000 is a perfect starting goal for every single month, because it gives you enough to pay yourself and expand your business. So don't over-egg and say, I want to earn 10,000 or 15,000 or 100,000. Just sit down and ask yourself, what is the bare minimum that you need? Even doing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,000 in a month will be so life-changing for anybody that is starting their own business, with the amount of freedom that they'll get and the money that they can earn. So make sure that those pressures are aligned. And then the final one is digital and information overload. So when you are starting a new business, there is so much information. There are so many people telling you that this is the only strategy that you can use, the only way that you can make the money, the only way that you can get clients. Webinars are dead, but funnels are not, and networking is great, but social media isn't, or you should only post reels and never go networking. Literally, everybody sells their concept, their method, the way that they found success as the only way to do it, because that's how they make sales. That's how they convince you that you should part with your money. And actually, in reality, you need to think to yourself, what is the most aligned thing for me in this moment, at this time? And what does this look like? What do I actually need, and what do I need to discard? I was having a conversation with a client this week in one of their one-to-ones and saying it's so important to understand that you need to look at the person who is just ahead of you to get the strategy that you need for right now. So if you are just starting out, you can't go out and look at a strategy of a 8-figure business owner and use their strategy to start your business, because their strategy will not work for your business. What you need to do is you need to go to the person who's just started hitting, say for instance, if you're just starting out, you want to find somebody who's hitting 5k months. Look at their strategy, look at what they're doing. Get to that point as quickly as possible, and then look for the person who's doing 10. Nail that, get to that strategy, then look for the person who's doing 50, and keep building up in those increments. You can't jump in and instantly say, I've got nothing, I don't know anything about business, I've never done this before, I haven't even started, and I instantly want to go in for a 7-figure strategy. Unless you've got a lot of money to throw behind a business, a 7-figure strategy or 8 or even a 6-figure strategy is not the strategy that you want to start your business with. So think about, what is the information? Pick a couple of key people to be the people that you use as your resource points. Get to a good level and then pick new people. Don't over-egg and overkill yourself in this starting point, because your nervous system will not thank you. Every single one of these things will trigger your nervous system. Every single one of these things, as you start your own business, will make your nervous system feel overwhelmed, feel frightened, go into fight and flight, like not want to perform. And it's your job as a new business owner to understand, have awareness, catch your nervous system, and then make it feel good. So if you want help with your nervous system, if you want help to grow as a person and manage your nervous system better, manage your surroundings, your boundaries, your vision, who you are in the world, then let me know, because I can absolutely help you with that. But if you're not ready to get help in this department, you can absolutely keep tapping into these videos. We're going to keep talking about these topics every single week, either business, strategy, like healing, mental health, all of the topics. And you're always going to have access to your monthly meditations. Next week we're going to be going into meditation. I'm so excited about it. It's all about tapping into your intuition as a female business owner. It's so good. I literally cannot wait to share it with you. So if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you're liking the content that really adds value for you so that I know what to make more of. And tune in next week to listen to the most incredible meditation all about tapping in to the badass business owner that you are. I'll see you next week.